The wind howled through the wide canyons of Arizona, carrying with it a dust of memories too heavy for the heart to bear. The evening sun burned low, spilling gold across the sandstone cliffs as if heaven itself was bleeding out light. Down in the hollow where silence met despair, a woman's cry echoed against the walls of rock, a cry so full of pain. Even the hawks above seemed to stop their flight. Her name was Clara Mae, a ranch girl who'd always believed she was stronger than the land that raised her. But that evening, fate decided to test her spirit. Her leg was trapped under a fallen slab of canyon stone, blood seeping through her torn jeans, dust caking her tears. She had been riding her horse, Whisper, trying to find the lost cattle that had wandered off after a storm. When the ground beneath her gave way, the canyon had swallowed her whole, leaving her broken and alone beneath a sky that cared too little. She screamed until her voice gave out, until only the wind answered. Hours passed. The sun slipped away and darkness took hold. Coyotes cried in the distance, and Clara knew out here the night wasn't a friend. Her breath trembled with every second that passed, and though her body was weak, her heart refused to give up. She thought of her father, long gone, of her mother's last words. "Never let this land beat you." Clara. But how could she not, when the land itself had her pinned? Miles away, a lone cowboy rode under the same dying sky. Ethan Cole, the kind of man who didn't speak much, but carried a heart heavier than the saddle he wore. He'd once been a ranch foreman, known for his grit and kindness, until tragedy hollowed him out. His wife had died 2 winters back, lost in a river flood that he couldn't stop. Since then, he'd kept to himself, wandering from ranch to ranch, fixing fences and mending other people's problems because he couldn't mend his own. But that night, as he rode near the canyon edge, something tugged at his chest, a strange pull, like God himself whispering, "Go down there, boy. Someone needs you." Ethan reined his horse and listened. Then he heard it, faint, like a ghost's breath, the soft cry of a woman carried by the wind. His heart jumped. He dismounted fast, grabbed his lantern, and started climbing down the rough canyon wall, calling out, "Hello, anyone there?" Clara lifted her head weakly, her throat dry as sand. "Help!" "Please," she whispered. The sound was barely there, but it was enough. Ethan's lantern light cut through the shadows, falling on her pale, dust-covered face. He froze for a second, struck by the sight, not just of her pain, but the fire still alive in her eyes despite it. "Hold on," he said, voice steady but soft. "I've got you." The stone was heavy, wedged deep against her leg. Ethan examined it quickly, realizing it'd take more than strength. It needed care. "This might hurt," he warned, wedging his boot for leverage. Clara nodded, biting her lip until it bled. Then, with a strained groan, Ethan pushed. The rock shifted inch by inch, and with one final heave it rolled aside. Clara screamed out in agony, her body trembling. But the moment the stone fell away, her tears turned into relief. Ethan wrapped his bandana tight around her wound to stop the bleeding. "You're safe now," he said quietly. But inside he wasn't sure that was true. The night was colder, the canyon deep, and her leg was bad. They had to move, fast. He lifted her gently, feeling her weight and her pain in every breath. "What's your name?" he asked as he carried her toward his horse. "Clara," she said faintly. "Clara Mae." Ethan nodded, whispering to his horse, "Easy now, Shadow. We've got an angel to carry." He lifted her onto the saddle, climbing up behind her to hold her steady. As they rode under the moonlight, the silence between them was thick with questions neither dared ask. Who was she? Why was he there at that exact moment? And why, when their lives were both cracked by sorrow, did this meeting feel like fate stitching something back together? By the time they reached his small cabin near the valley's edge, dawn had begun to chase away the night. Ethan laid her down by the fire, cleaned her wound, and made her drink water. Clara watched him work, rough hands, gentle touch, and for a moment she saw something in him she hadn't seen in years, kindness without reason. "Why'd you help me?" she asked softly. Ethan looked up, his eyes distant, like he was staring through time. "Because once," he said, "no one helped the one I loved. I ain't letting that happen again." And in that fragile dawn light, surrounded by the scent of smoke and dust, something wordless passed between them, two broken souls recognizing the same ache. Outside, the sun rose over the canyon, painting the world gold again. But inside that cabin, it wasn't just another morning. It was the start of something neither of them expected, something that would heal, break, and change everything forever.